Okay, I'm going to make a start then. So thank you again for joining us, everybody. My name's Amy. I work in Warwickshire School Admissions Service. I have done for the last 14 years. So I've been through several of these application processes. This is the first year that we're hosting these webinars, and they have been really well received on the whole. They're a really good platform for families to join us in a more informal setting, just to run through how the process works, and an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you've got about the process. No question is a silly question. Absolutely feel free to ask them. As I said, you can pop them in the chat if you've got Teams facility, but we will pick some out and we'll ask for hands up once we've done this first bit. This first bit won't last very long. The session will be predominantly question and answer. Normally at this point we would go through a slideshow, but our manager Rebecca hasn't been able to join us this evening, and she has access to that PowerPoint slideshow, so I can't show you that, unfortunately. However, there is a recording of last Thursday's meeting on our website, so if you wanted to have a look at that slideshow, that's on there. And for about 5 to 10 minutes Rebecca talks through those slides, but I think I can cover most of it off the top of my head. I'm joined by Louise Church, who is our admissions manager.
Oh, I don't know if you can see me. Hi everyone. Can you see me? I don't know. No, right. Sorry, I am here.
And we're also joined by Scott Hobday, who is our team lead.
Hello all. Yes, I may have access to the slides, so bear with me 5 minutes while I get that on screen for everyone.
Okay, thanks, Scott. To start off with then, I'll play you a video, and it's just a little bit of information about the application process. If you've got any questions after, pop them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll get to them. Louise, can you let me know if there's any issues with the sound when it starts? Because there was a problem with it last week, I think.
Yeah, okay, thank you, yeah. There's no sound so far, Amy. Is there meant to be sound?
Yeah.
You should have an option when you share your screen, but you should have an option to share it with audio as well in Teams.
Oh, thank you.
No worries.
Someone knows what they're doing technically. Okay, hang on.
Thank you.
Right, let's see if this works.
Starting school in reception or moving to a junior school. Starting school for the first time or moving to a junior school can feel like a big step, but there's lots of things you can do to make it easier on you and your child. And we're here to help too. Firstly, the earlier you start preparing, the better. Then you'll have plenty of time to think about which schools might be right for your child. Our website has a handy map that will show you if you live in a priority area for a local school. warwickshire.gov.uk/priority area. And it also has a directory of all the primary schools in Warwickshire. apps.warwickshire.gov.uk/find a school. There are some things you might want to think about when deciding on which schools you want to shortlist as preferences. You could start by talking to your nursery key worker or existing school teacher, who will know what might suit them. It's also a good idea to look at the school's admission arrangements, as these tell you how they decide who gets a place at their school. You could also visit their websites, find them on social media, read inspection reports, and talk to parents with children at those schools already. You may also want to think about how your child will get to and from school each day. Once you have your short list of schools, the best thing to do is visit each of them, either at an open evening for new parents or ask the school for your own tour. You might also want to discuss with them any specific support that your child needs. You can choose up to 6 schools to include on your application. You don't have to use all 6 choices, but we recommend you should always include your priority catchment school, because this is the school that is most likely to be able to offer your child a place. Sometimes parents or carers only include one school on their application form, perhaps because they believe it's the only one that can meet their child's needs, or they think that this will guarantee their child a place at that school. But this isn't true, and we often see that families are disappointed on offer day when they are offered a school that doesn't reflect their preferences at all. This can be stressful for everyone, including your child. To stop this happening to you, we recommend that you include at least 3 schools on your application. When you've decided on your preferences, you're ready to apply. You can do this online at warwickshire.gov.uk/primary place. The deadline to apply is 15th of January, so don't miss it. Children who apply after this date are much less likely to get a place at one of their preferred schools. Finally, we know this isn't always an easy decision to make. So if you need any help or support with any part of the application process, you can tell us by filling out this short form, warwickshire.gov.uk/schoolplacehelp. Once you've done that, we'll contact you to make sure you get the help you need.
Is your child accessing an early education setting?
Okay, so that was our video. As we said, it's available online. So if you wanted to go and have a look at it again, by all means do. I don't think there's much point putting the slides up now, Scott, because it covers a lot of what was in the video. But I have just pulled out a few pointers that I'm going to go through, and this is normally where we get a lot of our questions. So if I kind of broach those areas first, and then if anyone wants clarification or they've got a completely different question, pop it in the chat or pop your hand up. So if you're a Warwickshire resident, you will need to make your school application. So for those children who are due to start reception in September 2023, or those children who are currently in year 2 and need to apply for a junior school place in September 2023, you'll need to make your application by the 15th of January next year. It's really important that you apply by that deadline. It doesn't matter what date you apply up to that date, but it must be by that deadline. We won't do anything with applications until after the 15th of January. So it's not first come, first served or anything like that, but we would encourage you to do it as soon as possible. Especially with Christmas coming up, everyone's got much more important things on their mind at this time of the year. So the sooner you do it, it's done. It's off your mind. You can enjoy the Christmas break. It's important for parents and carers to be aware that you have no legal right to choose which school your child goes to. You have a right to apply for places at your preferred schools, but you can't choose which school your child goes to. For Warwickshire residents, so when we say Warwickshire residents, that includes anyone who pays their council tax to the following district councils. So either North Warwickshire, Nuneaton and Bedworth, Rugby, Warwick, or Stratford-upon-Avon. So if you pay your council tax to one of those, you are classed as a Warwickshire resident. If you pay your council tax to another authority, for example, Wickford-on-Avon in Worcestershire, or Solihull, Birmingham, Sandwell and Dudley, then they will be classed as your home authority, and you will need to make your school application through them. You can name Warwickshire schools on your application with your home authority, but you can't submit the application through us. It's only for Warwickshire residents. And similarly, Warwickshire residents can apply for school places in other authorities. So, for example, if you lived in the Shipston area, you may wish to consider applying for schools in Oxfordshire, maybe Chipping Campden Way, something like that on the border. Warwickshire residents are allowed to apply for a maximum of 6 schools. It's different in other authorities, but every authority legally has to give you the option to name at least 3 schools. In Warwickshire, we're really nice. We let you name up to 6. As it said in the video, we would strongly advise that you name your catchment school somewhere on your application. However, some schools don't operate with a catchment area, so it's important that you follow what the video said. Have a look at our priority area maps on our website. You just click on where your address lies on the map, and it'll tell you which schools you're in catchment for, if you are in catchment for any. If you don't apply by the 15th of January deadline, you apply afterwards, then your application will be classed as late, and it will not be processed until after the 17th of April. 17th of April is a really important date. That is when the first round of offers are published to parents and carers. So anyone that applies by the 15th of January deadline will receive their offer on the 17th of April. If your application's late, it won't be processed until after then, which means that you're less likely to be offered a place at one of your preferred schools, as they're likely to be full or nearly full. Your child will go on the waiting list, but there's no guarantee you'll be offered one of your preferred schools. And that is the case for on-time applicants as well. The reason that we're asking you to include a maximum of 3 schools on your application, I mean, ideally we'd like everyone to name 6. We would recommend you name at least 3. You're giving yourself more chance to be given one of your preferred schools. Because in the event that we can't offer you any of the schools that you've named on your application, we still have a legal obligation to offer your child a school place. And in that case, we'll offer them a place at the nearest school to their home address that has availability after all on-time applications have been considered and processed. In some cases, and it's happening more often now, the next nearest school with availability is quite far away. And especially for little ones, if when we're talking far away, it may be 3, 4, 5, 6 miles, the nearest school, depending on where you live. If you're in a town centre location, your nearest school is probably going to be quite close, but Warwickshire has a lot of rural areas. So if you don't get a school that's within your local area, it could be the case that we're offering you something quite far away if you haven't been offered one of your preferred schools. So please take that into consideration when you're submitting your application. And then the final point I was just going to pull out is we have to legally operate what's called an equal preference system. What that means is that when you apply for schools, you'll be asked to rank them in numerical order, 1 to 6 or 1 to 5, 1 to 4, however many you're applying for. We don't put any emphasis on where you've ranked the school on your application. So just because you've named a school as your first preference on your application doesn't mean you get higher priority for a place. It makes absolutely no difference to us when we process your application where the school is named on your application. In actual fact, what the process does is looks at all of the schools that you've named at the same time. So if you've put 6 preferences on your application, what the system will do is look at which of those schools your child can be offered a place at. And if they can be offered a place at more than one of the schools that you've named, we'll offer a place at the highest ranked preference that we can. So in effect, the only reason that you're ranking the schools in your order of preference is in the event that your child can be offered a place at more than one of them. You'll never know that. You'll never know if a place could be offered at more than one of them. You'll only get one school offer on offer day, and that will come from your home authority. So Warwickshire residents who've applied through Warwickshire will get an offer from us on the 17th of April, as long as that application was made on the 15th of January. Does anyone want any clarification on any of those points? Just pop your hand up if you do. I feel really weird. I feel like I'm talking to myself. No one's talking to me. Louise, are you there? No.
Yeah, sorry, I am Amy. Yeah, no, it's very succinct. And yeah, I haven't done this one a couple of weeks when we did one a little while ago. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Ari Changa, I'm just going to unmute you. Bear with me.
Oh, I just did it. Thanks.
Oh, okay, you've done it. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. You said the deadline is 15th of January. We haven't moved into the area, into the council yet, but we plan to do that sometime next year. We're looking currently for a house, and if we did have an offer accepted, would a letter from the state agents be enough to apply for a school place? Or what would you accept that's not council tax?
Yeah, so every local authority, so every council will have their own arrangements for these types of situations. In Warwickshire, we do have an extended deadline for families that are moving house. That is the 1st of February, so it really doesn't give you much longer. It's only an extra couple of weeks. You have to be living in that new property by the 1st of February. And the documentation that we'd need to support that would be either a copy of the full and signed tenancy agreement if you're renting, or a copy of the completion letter from your solicitor if you're purchasing the property. But that extended deadline is only the 1st of February. If you move after that date, our advice would be apply for a school place by the 15th of January through whichever authority you live at currently, and then we can let you know what to do once you've moved.
Okay, so I apply through the local authority where I live now, and I put Warwickshire schools as my preference.
Yeah, you
can.
Okay,
that's interesting. Okay, thank you. I didn't know I could do that. Thanks.
Yeah, you can always change the application once you've moved, because what will happen is we'll take over the application from your current home authority. So it can change later down the line if you learn about other schools in the area that you'd like to apply for, or things like that. But at the moment, just get an application into your current home authority so you've got something.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Right,
No
shall I pull a question out the chat?
Yeah, no more questions, Amy. So yeah, if we want to cover the chat. Do you want me to read them out to you, or are you all right?
Yeah, I've got them, don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, so is it Natalia? You've said that you're you said that your daughter's application, there's only 4 schools available to apply for. Why is that, and how can I have a bigger range of selection? Can you just explain what you mean by that? Where...
Right. I'm Natalia's father. I don't know
Oh.
why I plugged in with well, my daughter. Yeah, name over here. Right. The idea is the following. I'm just looking at the map of 10 miles. Yeah, this is what I've selected in her
Yes.
application.
I see.
And I'm just seeing 10 schools. Yeah. She's transitioning from year 2 to year 3 in September next year. So. Well, I wanted to understand exactly how can I don't know, apply for other schools that that offer this from
Yeah.
year 3 onwards.
Really good question. Glad you've raised it. Thank you. So children currently in an infant school in year 2 will obviously need to apply for a junior school place to start next September. Through this process, you can only apply for junior schools. So it's only those schools that start from year 3. If you want to apply for year 3 place in a primary school, so schools that start from reception and carry on all the way to year 6, you can do that, but you can't do it as part of this process, and you won't be able to do it until later next year in the summer, because it's a different process. So you will be able to apply for a year 3 place at a primary school, but not until much later next year. So at the moment, make your application for a junior school place, then at least she's got a school place secure for September. Does that make sense?
So I can make an application later on for another school if
you can, yeah, but please make one now for a junior school place.
Will do. So yeah, no, thank you for that. It's the idea is that we're kind of planning to move within the same area, but yeah, different. Yeah, so we're gonna have other schools that are gonna be closer to the place where.
I see. Yeah, so you'll be able to do that later in the year next year.
Is there a guarantee that it will gonna get a place to, I don't know, one of the schools, so it will gonna be the same way of
no, it depends. It depends what vacancies they've got at that time. So at least if you're applying for junior school now, at least she has got a school place for September in case the primary schools are full when you come to apply.
Right. So if I'm gonna be, I don't know, I'm getting a place at the school that I'm applying right now. I'm moving within the area, yeah, but I'm not gonna be able to, to take my kid to school. Yeah, I don't know, due to other commitments, or yeah, not having a car, or.
Are there any junior schools in the area that you're moving to?
Junior, don't know if there are junior schools, but there are schools that are offering from primary to, from year reception to year 6.
The other option then for you is, even though the move isn't happening, when is the move happening?
It's not a fixed date. It's not
okay, so if it's kind of May, June, July or before then, what you could look at doing is applying for a year 2 place and get her moved before the summer holidays next year.
So basically moved within the year.
Yeah, right. Move within, yeah, but still apply for the junior school place now if that doesn't if that's not successful, or if the house move isn't successful. So get the junior school place applied for anyway. We can always withdraw it if we don't need it anymore for you.
All right, understood. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a question from Leah. Does the order we list schools in make a difference after the first choice? Leah, did what I explained earlier cover that for you?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. And what I'll do with all these questions, we have got a Q&A document that we're working on from last Thursday's session. So I will add these questions to that document, and then I'll get them published on the website so everyone can see everyone's questions and what the answers were. Obviously, we won't include any personal information if you've included that. Next question. What changes do you expect to priority areas in the next few years, particularly around secondary schools? I've heard some new schools are planned to be built in the area where we plan to move. Kind of off topic, but we do have 2 new secondary schools opening for September entry next year. They are Oakley School and Griffin School. The Griffin School will be an all through eventually, so they will start taking children in reception, but not until September 2024. In terms of priority areas, which is the same as catchment area, so if you say priority area or catchment area, they both mean the same thing. In terms of those, we can only tell you what the situation is for the current entry year. So we can only let you know what the arrangements are for 2023 entry. Schools are currently in the process of putting together their documentation for September 2024 entry. So if you do have specific schools in mind, primary and secondary, those documents should be on each school's website. And if there are any changes to the catchment area, it should be identified in those documents. So have a look at those. With secondary schools, they are all their own admission authority. So they're all academies or voluntary aided schools or foundation schools. That means that they're not maintained by the local authority. So Warwickshire County Council operates their admissions process on behalf of each school, but we don't control how they offer places. That documentation I mentioned will confirm how places are allocated, and then we just comply with that documentation. So it's slightly different for secondary schools. So if they're planning to change their catchment area, their priority area, it will be in their documentation for 2024 entry. 2023 entry documentation is already determined and published. It's on their website. There can be no changes to that now. So if your child is due to start school or transfer to year 7 in a secondary school next September, the process that their application will follow is set in stone. That can't change now. And the documentation will be on the website for those schools. And then Kevin, you mentioned about applying for primary schools later on during the summer. Would that be through the council or the school directly? Good question. So on our website, there's a list of about 8 schools, primary and secondary, that have their own admissions process for in-year year groups. So in-year is anyone that's not starting school or transferring to year 7. All of the year groups, change of school. There's about 8 schools that don't operate within our process. We will carry out that admissions process for the majority of schools. Off the top of my head, while we're here, the schools that do their own in-year admissions process are St Gabriel's Primary in Rugby, St Lawrence Primary in Knapton, Aylesford School in Warwick for both primary and secondary, North Leamington School, Queen Elizabeth School in Atherstone, Rugby Free Primary School and Rugby Free Secondary School. There might be 1 or 2 that I've missed, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that do their own. But have a look at our website, it is confirmed on there. If you have a look at changing child school during the academic year section on the website, it'll confirm which schools do their own. Awachega, is that a historical hand, or did you have another question? It's fine if you do.
About the priority areas? I think you were just responding to Gavin.
Okay, did you have another question about the priority areas?
No, thank you. I was just concerned about if it can change. So basically it can change every year.
It can change in the future, but not for this current process Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And the one that the priority areas map is up to date, so that you have published on the website, because it happened that we went to see a house and the state agent, I told him this is in the priority area of such school, and he said no. And I thought, well, it's weird, because if either he doesn't know, which is it's something that I was like surprised, or the map is not up to date. And I thought if it was up to date and it is in the catchment of this area, it's something that he wants to use to sell the house. So that's why I was thinking about if this catchment or priority areas change so frequently. That's mainly why I asked this question.
Yeah, I can't think of any schools that have changed their catchment area in the last 3 years.
Okay.
And no one has told us about any changes they're planning to make for 2024 entry. And as I said, for 2023 entry, they can't make any changes to their process now. What I would say just off the back of that, though, is when you are looking for properties on external websites like Rightmove, I know Rightmove is a big one. They don't necessarily get the priority areas right, so do not take what they are saying for truth. Okay. If you've ever got a question about which catchment area an address falls into and you can't find it out using the priority area map on our website, give us a call or drop us an email, and we can confirm it with you, because that places are allocated based on what our software says, not what Rightmove says.
Yeah.
So just, contact us if there's any doubt.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Lou, can you just pop our email address and phone number into the chat, please, so people have got access to it?
Yep, I've put the link for the schools that do their own in-year applications, and I've put the link for the priority areas, so I'll put that in the chat for everyone too, and also the link for the video, so hopefully that'll help.
Thank you. And just to note, the schools that do their own admissions process, that's not for those children starting school in reception or transferring to year 3 at a junior school or starting year 7 in a secondary school. Every one of those will apply for school places through us, and we'll process your application, or you'll do it through your home authority if you don't live in Warwickshire. Okay. Okay, Leah, I've got another question. Could you explain a little more about what you mean by how schools are allocated, i.e. when you work out which schools on our form could offer us a place? Yeah, does this depend on when your individual application is looked at? Okay, good question. So just to give you some stats, because I'm a stats person, we will be... So we have about 7,000 children who are due to start reception in September next year, who are Warwickshire residents. So we expect all of those applicants to apply for a school place. In reality, we're not just processing 7,000 applications. We're processing more like 20,000. Because if you think everyone puts at least 3 preferences on their application, we are processing each application. We process each school preference, not just one child. We don't just process the child, we process each school that you've applied for. There is absolutely no way we could look at each of those 20,000 preferences individually and assess whether or not a place can be offered. Back in the old days when I started working for Warwickshire Admissions, we didn't have the technology that we do today, and we had everyone applied using a paper application form. They were received into the office, and then we had a space on the floor for every primary school, and we would literally put the application into the pile that was going to be offered for that primary school. Luckily, we don't have to do that now. We have these snazzy systems that help us out. So the way it works now is we'll receive your application. The system will tell us if you're in the catchment area using the address that you've used on the application. On the application, you'll put additional information, such as if you've got an older child already attending the school, if your child's got an EHCP plan, if they are currently or have ever been classed as a looked after child, and you'll know what those things mean if you find yourselves in those situations. And then the system will assign a criteria to each school preference, and that will be things like you're in the catchment area with a sibling, you're just in the catchment, you're out of the catchment with a sibling, or you live out of the catchment with no sibling. We'll add a criteria to every school preference, and then we'll rank the applications for each school against the criteria that they use to offer places. So say, for example, School A, their first criteria is children in catchment who have a sibling already attending the school. So everyone who's applied for School A who's got that criteria will all go to the top of the list. We'll rank each applicant for each school, and then the system will look at all the applications, all the ranked applicants for each school, and then it'll work out who can be offered which school place, depending on where you're ranked in the list and how many places that school's got available. So all the applications are looked at the same time, and all the offers are made at the same time. We then carry out checks on those offers. So we do it a bit earlier than 17th of April, but then all of the offers are published on that one date. Does that make sense, Leah, or have I made it too complicated?
No, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Anyone got any questions? There's no more in the chat that I can see. No, not all criteria is weighted equally. So Kevin's asked, in that sense, is all criteria weighted equally? A child's application will be ranked against each criteria for each school on their application, but is all criteria weighted equally? So the way it works, every school will have category 1. Legally, category 1 has to be looked after or previously looked after children, and then they can have whatever criteria they like. If they're an own admission authority school, for example, if they're an academy, they can then have whatever oversubscription they want to. So a school might have category 1's looked after. Category 2 is anyone that's got an older sibling already attending the school, and then category 3 could just be places are offered by distance from the child's home address to the school. So some schools can just have 3. Warwickshire's criteria, so the criteria that we use for any schools that are maintained by us, so that's community or voluntary controlled schools, and that's about half the primary schools in the county. Our criteria is looked after children are 1 at the top. Category 2 is children who are in receipt of early years pupil premium through their current early years setting. Category 3 is any child that is currently or has ever been since birth on a child protection plan or a child in need plan. Category 4 is children who live in the catchment area for the school who have an older sibling attending. Criteria 5 is those that live in the catchment area but don't have a sibling attending. Category 6 is those that live outside of the catchment area and have an older sibling attending. And then our category 7 is our last category. It's any other children. So children that live outside of catchment, don't have a sibling attending, and don't come into any of the higher categories. So each applicant for that school is given one of those criteria, and then all the applicants are ranked in criteria order. So you'll have 1 to 7. If there's more than one with the same criteria, they're ranked against the straight line distance in miles from the child's home address to the school. So what you end up with is, say you've got 30 applications for a school and they've got 10 places. You might have 5 in category 1, 5 in category 2, 2 in the next category, 2 in the next category, and so on, all ranked by distance. We'll then offer the top 30, the top 10, the 10 places at that school, and the 20 that are remaining will go on the waiting list. Does that make sense, Kevin? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, another question. How does the approximate 7,000 due to start reception compare to previous years in terms of birth rate? Example, high or low? About the same. About the same. Secondary, so those starting year 7 next year is a high birth rate. Reception is about average. Did someone just put their hand up and put it down again? Please don't be shy about asking questions. You've got me here. Use me.
Sorry, it was me. It was by accident.
Okay. Yep. Go on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to lower my hand before I forget. Well, my daughter, she should be now in year 3.
Yeah.
But she's currently in year 2.
Yeah.
This is because we came into the UK last year and she didn't know any English. So with the school and the council, we decided, we all agreed that she could start reception instead of being at the end of year 1 when she didn't know how to read or speak English.
Yeah.
My question is, in the application process, will I have the option to opt for year 3, even when her date of birth should determine that she should be in year 4?
Okay.
Or should I make like something, I don't know, send a letter or something to something different?
I understand. So first off, you won't be able to use the online system, the parent portal, to make your application, because as you say, each round is linked to a specific date of birth round. So the correct round won't show for you against her date of birth. So that's the first point. You won't be able to apply online. The second point is, if you have a look on our website, there is a form on there. It's called Educated Out of Year Group Request Form. So what you'll need to do is fill that form out, and there's a section that needs to be completed by any of the junior schools you'd like to apply for. They have to agree to the current arrangement of her being educated at a year group continuing from year 3 to year 6. So you'll need to take that form to the schools you want to apply for and ask them to complete their section, and there's a section that you complete as parent carer. You send that form back to us. Once we know it's been agreed by at least one of those schools you'd like to apply for, we'll send you an application form to complete for you to send back to us. You've got to get the agreement first, and
Okay.
that will allow you to apply for a place. There's no guarantees you'll get a place, but it will allow you to apply.
Okay, and do I have to still, I asked earlier, you said that I should apply through, the best option would be for me to apply through my current local authority. How would I do that when it's another local authority?
They should have the same or a similar process.
Okay.
But once you've moved into Warwickshire, you'll have to follow that process again for the Warwickshire schools.
Yes. Okay. So first thing would be get this to get to know if the schools we want to apply to would accept.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then, well, okay. Then
if
then
they agree, then you can apply through your home authority, and then you'll have to repeat that process once you've moved into Warwickshire.
Okay. Okay. But I won't be able to do it online. I'll have to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, for Warwickshire. Yeah, once you've moved into Warwickshire, you won't be able to do it online because she'll be out of the date of birth range. But we'll let you know what to do. Don't worry, is the main point. Don't worry, it's not an unfamiliar situation for us. But it's a bit more long-winded to get you where you need to be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good question from Elizabeth. How and when are we informed about the school which has been selected? I assume you mean offered, rather than selected. So if you make your application on time, so by the 15th of January deadline, and I should have said that's a national deadline. So any authority in England, that's the same deadline for everybody, the 15th of January. It doesn't matter where you live. So if you've made your application by that date, National Offer Day is the 17th of April. So again, regardless of where you live, if you did your application by the closing date, you'll receive your offer from your home authority on the 17th of April. In Warwickshire, if you applied online using our parent portal function, we'll send you your offer through the portal, and we'll also send you an email to confirm your offer. If you don't apply online, which is absolutely fine, you don't have to. We would encourage you to, but you don't have to. If you use a paper application form and email it to us, we will email you an offer letter, but it won't necessarily be on the 17th of April. So the advantage of applying online through our parent portal is that you'll receive your offer on the morning, normally, of the 17th of April. If we send you a letter, because you haven't applied online, there's no guarantee that you get it on the 17th of April. It's normally after. Okay.
Sorry, one related question to that, what you just said, of not applying online, applying by paper or forms by email, but the criteria to use and the weight that the application will have would be the same as if it was online?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Same questions, same process. It's just a letter rather than an email.
Okay, so that's because the letter takes a bit more time, but
oh yes,
not because it's processed later.
Yeah, exactly. But your home authority, the current home authority that you live in, they may have they might send the letters to be received on the 17th of April. They might not have any distinction, so it's worth checking with them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll leave it there then. Like I said earlier, I'll put these questions into the Q&A document that we started in last week's session, and then we'll get it published on the website. Louise, have you got anything to add?
No, just a massive thank you, Amy, and thank you everybody for coming. Amy, you've been amazing. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone. We'll leave it there. But please do contact us if you've got any queries or concerns about the process. We are here to help.